So very profound what Stacy said, and I want to lift up two other things I think that we get into a language trap around. Uh, I am trained as an economist. That's what my PhD is in. And, traditionally, the economic debate has been about individuals, uh, free markets, small business, and that's been pitted against the state, collective, a different approach. And that's been our traditional ideological poles in the United States. And that language winds up getting weaponized because equal opportunity gets presented as an individual issue. And so a strategy, which is, I keep wanting to call you Governor Abrams because that's what I wish had happened. What Stacy said is to take into account people's history in the context of admissions, in the context of job training, in the context of aid for a particular neighborhood or a particular people. And you've got people on the other side saying, we have to ignore all that. It's got to be an individual thing we're looking at. But you know what? That's not what they really mean. Because while the traditional debate in the United States has been between individuals and collectives, markets, and the state, currently it's between tribes and mutuality. Because it's about protecting a particular group of people and their billionaire friends, and making sure that with the use of tariffs, with the use of different kinds of programs, that group is protected and others are pushed away. So it's not that they're trying to lift up the importance of individuals. They're trying to exclude people who've been trying to break in for years because they don't understand the power of diversity, the power of mutuality versus the power of just protecting your tribe. And that gets me to the second thing that I think we need to change in our debate. And it's about thinking about equity as just fairness and inclusion. And I'll tell you why. I am blessed, and I wouldn't say I was blessed because turns out I'm very successful. But that's partly because my dad was in a union and that it helped our family move from being poor to being working class. And it's partly because there was a civil rights law. And when restrictive redlining fell, we were able to buy a house in a place that had decent public schools. And it's also because when there was a chance for me to go to college, there was affirmative action to take a chance on a kid like me that did not fit the typical profile. So I benefited from all of those programs. And partly as a result, I have an endowed chair. It's actually sitting right behind me. That chair right back there is the endowed chair. But it also came with a lot of money. And I asked the guy, sort of a center-right Republican, how did you get so rich? Really great guy. And he said, well, I treated my customers right. I treated my workers right. I treated my suppliers right. And the business worked out. And we know in our heart of hearts, that's how sustainable businesses work over the long term. That's the argument that Stacey was using about diversity being good for business. And there's a lot of research done by the International Monetary Fund, done by the Federal Reserve, done by me, looking at how it is that equity is actually conducive to prosperity. Because we know when you have this level of racist over incarceration, that's stripping away talent that we need to grow. We know when you have an immigration system, people like to say it's broken. It's not broken. It's working the way they think it should work to exclude people, to marginalize people, to chew people up. That we are tossing away talent. We know that when we underinvest in schools in low income areas, particularly black and brown kids, that we're shortchanging our productivity for the future. We know when we don't invest in a care economy, it means that our productive workers who've got elders and children that they're worried about can't be at ease while they're at work. we know that equity is conducive to prosperity. And so what I think is really critical in terms of the debate as well is, yes, to fly our fairness and inclusion flag, but to continue to talk about how this is all part of unleashing talent to have a more productive and prosperous economy going forward.